Hello, Animation Fanatic here. Well, it finally happened. The Transformers Prime movie, Predacon Rising, finally aired in the United States. Now, as I've said before, I saw the movie earlier because I found a website that had it on it. I don't know how that happened. I think maybe somebody made a mistake somewhere in cyberspace and then the movie got shifted over there. Interesting considering that the last series of Transformers had a similar mistake. If you remember, the third season of Transformers Animated, one episode was aired earlier than it should have been, at least online, because somebody made a mistake in, what was it, Cartoon Network live stream, Cartoon Network, I forget what it was called. It's been a while since I went on to CartoonNetwork.com. But anyway, point being, I saw the movie, and now that it's aired in the States, and you guys have probably had a chance to see it, or will have a chance to see it, I'd like to just talk about my opinion of the movie. Now, I'm not going to give too much plot here. I'm just going to do a basic plot rundown. I'm really going to tell you what I think, and this won't be too long. This won't be like my half-hour review of the 3 Shaolin Chronicles episodes. But, yeah, I just want to give a basic... I just want to take a basic look, tell you what I thought of this, what is supposed to be the final conclusion to what some are calling the greatest Transformers series ever. I still think Beast Wars manages to be king, but this comes a very, very close second. And I'm going to examine this conclusion on its merits and faults and tell you what I think, and also relate it to the final episode, because this is the movie. Although it's like a long episode, I want to compare it to that final episode that aired a while back in August, I think it was August or early September. I'm blanking here, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a look at this and tell you what I think, because why else would you be watching me? Anyway, the basic plot is the Autobots have settled on Cybertron. They're trying to rebuild and also going to welcome in new Cybertronians, other Autobots from the rest of the galaxy. Which makes me think, wouldn't there be other Decepticons in the rest of the galaxy? It's hinted that there are. Actually, it's hinted that there was a lot of robots in other parts of the world, in the universe. There's even a Transformers comic that references robots who didn't even join the fight because of various reasons. But anyway, if you're excited to see a huge new cast of bots, you'll be a little bit disappointed. There are new bots in this, but not exactly the way you might have wanted there to be. Anyway, the story centers around, yeah, the Autobots, and but also Unicron and Predacon as well. There's both of whom sort of play villain slash anti-hero. Well, Predacon plays anti-hero. Unicron is villain. Unicron is the main villain in this. He's still alive, thanks to the dark energon that flows through Megatron's veins. If you've seen the show before, you know dark energon has played a very big role in this show. So anyway, Unicron takes over Megatron's body, reformats him in a manner very similar to the movie, and I guess you could say creates Galvatron. He's never referred to as Galvatron, although Smokescreen starts making up names for him in the middle, actually after they'd fought him the first time. But yeah, so a lot of the plan revolves around Unicron trying to destroy the Autobots and Cybertron, because Cybertron is, if Earth was the body of Unicron, Cybertron is the body of his arch-nemesis, Primus. And Unicron is trying to destroy Primus. And he wants to do that with an army of Terracons, undead, zombie-like Transformers, but this time he wants to do it with Predacons. Mixed into this mix are also the remnants of the Decepticon forces, which is basically Starscream and Shockwave. If you remember correctly, they were both Megatron's second in command, equal to each other. So there's no really clear leader of the Decepticons at this point. They're joined by 2 new Predacons who Shockwave has created and who are used throughout the show. Meanwhile, Predacon is off on his own, trying to establish himself, and he eventually reunites with the other Predacons, and they join with him to fight back against Unicron. Also, I thought several of the Seekers and Viacons escaped from the ship, but I guess they went elsewhere, because most of them are shown having been captured, along with Knockout, who's been thrown in the brig of the ship. I guess that's what you call it. But yeah, they'll play a minor role in this. Mostly Knockout will be and Shockwave will be representative of the Decepticons teaming up with the Autobots. I'm going to get to that point in a second, but I think they missed sort of an opportunity with Knockout. But that would have taken... The opportunity I'm going to talk about would have taken a whole season rather than just an hour-long movie. Or maybe an hour-and-a-half movie it could have been done. Anyway... So, merits of this episode. This is gonna sound bad, but this episode looked great. Everything looked fantastic. It had a large cinematic quality. It had it looked very cool. It looked more cinematic, I think, than any episode has previously, and that's very impressive for this show. But in addition to that, it was just... It had a solid plot. It was an entertaining story. It really was. The characters were more or less interesting. It's just they went in directions that I didn't care for. They did things in this plot that I didn't care for. They didn't bring back people that I would have liked to see again. And it just... I'm not saying that this special was bad. I'm not saying it wasn't entertaining. I'm not saying it wasn't enjoyable. I'm just saying that it could have been better. I don't think it was the right way to end a series. I really believe that there's more you could do with this series, continuing it, and then have a more improved ending. If you recall the previous series, I liked the last season of Transformers Animated. I really did, but they still didn't wrap it up very nicely. You still felt like there was more to do. They wrapped it up as best they could, but you felt like there was more to do. This seems a little lazy, like they could have wrapped it up better, but they didn't. Beast Wars, good conclusion. Beast Machines, I know what the conclusion is, even though I've not seen everything. Good conclusion. The G1, decent enough, but they left the door open for future series, which unfortunately, technically didn't happen. But anyway, what I was disappointed in was, number one, I'm not a huge fan of Wheeljack is fine in this series. He's not in it as much as, if you liked him, he is not in this special very much. He's off with Optimus Prime looking for the Allspark, and that's what's disappointing, is the two very good characters are not in this. Number two, the special focuses on Bumblebee quite a lot. Now, I understand they want him to talk. Now that he can talk, they want him to say a lot of lines, and that's cool. That's really impressive, seeing him speak. And yeah, that's good and all, but they're trying to make him into not only the main character of this show, of this movie, which is fine. And it's cool to see him graduate from Scout into full-blown Warrior. And the ceremony is actually kind of interesting. It's like a knighting ceremony with Optimus Prime acting as sort of the kingly role. But I think... I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. But the problem with this is they make him out to be they kind of turn him into the leader while Optimus Prime is away, even though rank-wise, technically, RC should outrank Bumblebee. She's been fighting longer than he has. She's been, I'm assuming, a warrior longer than he has. Regardless of being a two-wheeler, I think she's proven herself as more of a leader. My problem with actually Optimus Prime even offering earlier in the series the Matrix to Smokescreen is that, yeah, it was kind of interesting. It was kind of a reference to the Transformers movie when Hot Rod got the Matrix. But RC, I just believe, is more deserving of it. I think she's gone through the most character development. I think she's done the most. I think she's proven the most. And then this last season, she's just kind of shafted a bit. She went from being sort of our main Autobot in the first and part of the second season to being an almost secondary character, and and yeah, that's just disappointing, and that's disappointing here, and yeah. If you liked Ultra Magnus, too bad, because he is incapacitated for most of the episode, I believe, thanks to the Predacons. Ratchet doesn't do terribly much, although he does come back. He does several things. They give him a lot of credit for restoring Cybertron, although part of that was Megatron doing it, so whatever. And yeah, those are some things that I didn't like. It was just especially with Bumblebee, with him sort of becoming the leader, and then Smokescreen says, "Oh, Prime offered me the Matrix," just kind of out of the blue. Not completely out of the blue, but it just happens, and it's just weird. It's like these things are happening that didn't have any previous establishment in it. I always thought, and plus, I just realized this. Smokescreen had asked Bumblebee if he ever wanted to be leader before, and Bumblebee just kind of says in his own way, "No, I'm fine just kind of being a soldier. That's what I do best." And I believe if you talk to Bulkhead, that's what he would have said. He was kind of fine just being a soldier. But and then this whole thing comes out of nowhere. It's just disappointing. I don't like it when shows throw instant or very rapid fire character developments that have cut after you've spent episode after episode with these characters. So that was one thing. Yeah, the Decepticons kind of get shafted here a bit. It's mostly focusing on the Autobots and the Predacons and Galvatron. And the ending of this whole movie, I just found I was waiting until the end credits finished, hoping that there would be something there that would add a little extra. And there wasn't. But the ending, it's just Shockwave disappears. Shockwave just disappears. He goes, he talks to the Predacons, then he vanishes like that. Well, where'd he go? What happened? What was he doing? They never see Arachnid. I suspect she starved to death because she needed to kill all the Insecticons. But that's never explained. They don't. Maybe I need to see the DVD. There'll be a deleted scene, but they don't find her. They don't find her body anywhere. They don't find the bodies of the Insecticons. They're not resurrected during the last battle. That's several characters just completely out the door. No explanation whatsoever. Or at least not a very good one. Megatron at the end or Galvatron, whatever you want to call him, just says, "Well, now that I know what it's like to be ruled by a tyrant, I'm not going to be evil anymore. I'm just going to go hide. I'm just going to go away." Really? That's it? That's the big revelation? I would have rather he'd been killed. I honestly rather he'd been destroyed. I could have stomached that a bit more. And then Starscream gets killed at the end. Yeah, bet you weren't expecting that. I'm not completely upset about that, but that is a little upsetting. They could have left him alive, made a future series with him as leader, or Soundwave as leader. Soundwave does not come back. It is still banished to the stupid Phantom Zone. That was a terrible exit for a great character, an interesting character that needed more development. And it's just a horrible way to go. The kids aren't here. I understand it would be difficult, but they've been brought into Cybertron before. It was cool when Jack was brought into Cybertron the first time, when he went there with RC. It was very cool. And they're nowhere to be seen. It's like, and they didn't even do too much, I don't think, in the final episode. It's disappointing. You've been, during this whole experience, you've been with these characters so much, and the movie kind of just doesn't want to focus on many of them. It wants to focus on one or two. Not even on the main characters, it just wants to focus on a couple, and it ignores everything else. It ignores everybody else. Instead of giving people equal screen time, it just pounds it all into one person. If they wanted to do more, they should have made the movie longer. They should have made it, or they shouldn't have even made it a movie. They should have made it a series of episodes, or 2 movies. I can't imagine a show this successful could have a nothing budget. I don't know. So that's my main complaint. It ties up loose ends, but it's like it executes all the loose ends. It executes them and prevents you from getting more. I want to see more. I want to see more of these characters. I want to see more of these development. I want to see more stuff in space. I want to see the Junkions. I want to see the Quintessons. I want to see all that stuff. I want to see Galvatron leading the Decepticons, or Starscream, or Shockwave, or Soundwave, or somebody. And what's going to happen when the Decepticons from the other parts of the galaxy come back? You think they're just going to sit around? I don't think so. I don't think so. And that brings me to another problem is Knockout. Knockout said he was joining the winning team. Obviously, they didn't believe him, so they locked him up. But I think that's disappointing. I think they could have done something with having him learn how to be a team player, learn how to be a good guy. I think that would have been interesting. Because we didn't really have that this season. We didn't really have a Decepticon going over to the Autobots or vice versa, which I think would have been cool. But we didn't do that. They didn't do that, and that was disappointing. That was really, yeah, it was just disappointing. Like I said, I don't hate this special. I just don't think it quite lived up to expectations. Maybe there was no good way to end this series, but it just seems lazy. It's just like, it could have been so much better. They could have done so much more, and they didn't. And it's just, there was all this build up, and then there was just a sort of a weak payoff, is all I'm saying. Finally, there are rumors around that there might be a sequel series, possibly, but aimed at younger audiences, eliminating maybe most of the kills and the darkness of this one. I say no. No. You keep doing what we were doing here. You keep doing it. This has been this. You don't get the second best Transformers series, maybe best. I'd have to watch Beast Wars again, and just completely throw that out the window. No. No. But I digress. Overall, it was a good movie. It just wasn't the ending I was looking for. It wasn't the conclusion I was hoping for. It just didn't satisfy me. It didn't satisfy me. That's two Transformers series that did not satisfy me. I look forward to the franchise, to whatever happens in the franchise from here on out. Even if I know they're doing Transformers Go in Japan now. I haven't seen any of that because I can't speak Japanese or understand it, and I don't understand Chinese subtitles. But if they want to take it in a lighter direction, I'll try it. But I won't be completely happy. But that's the good thing about Transformers, is that it consistently can reinvent itself and redo itself. And if you're not happy with one, you just have to wait a few years for the other. So that's it. I hope to come back next time with Legend of Korra and Batman reviews. We won't be having any Turtle reviews for at least another week. I can't wait.